At my baby shower, my husband's phone kept buzzing. Curious, I peeked and saw a message from Love Always saying, "I can't wait for our baby to arrive." Shaking, I stood up and read it aloud. His mother gasped, my sister burst into tears, and my husband stammered, "I can explain. But not here." I never thought I'd be the one writing a story like this. You see these kinds of posts all the time, cheating, betrayal, messy love triangles, but you never think it's going to be you. Until it is. My baby shower was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life. It wasn't just about celebrating our little boy on the way, but everything Mark and I had built together. For years of marriage, a house in a good neighborhood, and now, the baby we had both been dreaming about. My sister, Hannah, put together the most beautiful event. She worked so hard to make sure everything was perfect, blue and white balloons, a tiered cake with little baby booties on top, and a table stacked with gifts from our friends and family. The house was packed with people who loved us. I felt so loved. And Mark was being the perfect husband, or so I thought. He was right next to me, rubbing my back when I winced from back pain, making sure I had something to eat, laughing with my dad. He looked happy. Then his phone buzzed. It was sitting on the table next to me. The screen lit up, and I didn't mean to look, but I did. It wasn't just one notification. His phone was blowing up. And the name that kept popping up? Love Always. The first message I saw said, "I can't wait for our baby to arrive. I love you." I felt like the air had been knocked out of my chest. I stared at it, willing my eyes to be wrong. Maybe I had read it wrong. Maybe it was some kind of weird joke. Maybe I was having a pregnancy hallucination. But then another text came in. "I miss you so much. Last night was amazing. Call me later." I could feel my hands shaking as I picked up his phone. My heart was hammering so hard in my chest that I thought I was going to pass out. I clicked on the message thread. And what I saw destroyed me. Weeks and weeks of messages. Not just flirting. Not just a one-time mistake. A full-blown relationship. She was pregnant. She was also pregnant. At the same time as me. I stood up so fast that my chair scraped against the hardwood floor. Everyone stopped talking. All eyes turned to me. I held the phone up. My voice was shaking. "Mark, who the hell is Love Always, and why is she excited for your baby to arrive?" Silence. Dead silence. Then everything exploded at once. My sister gasped and slapped both hands over her mouth. My mother looked at Mark like he had just set the house on fire. His mother, sweet little Margaret, actually let out a gasp so loud that a few people turned to look at her. Mark's face went white. "Rachel," he said, barely above a whisper. "Not here. Please." I laughed. I actually laughed. It was an awful, broken sound. "Not here." I repeated. "So you get to fuck someone else and get her pregnant, but I don't get to react because it's inconvenient for you?" He swallowed, glancing around like he was looking for an exit. "I can explain." "Oh, can you? Can you really?" My voice was getting louder now. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like my husband is having a baby with another woman. Hannah burst into tears. Full-on sobbing. My dad stood up so fast that his chair tipped over. Mark's dad had his head in his hands, muttering something under his breath. I was shaking. I could barely breathe. My chest felt like it was caving in. I scrolled through the messages, my vision blurring with tears. I needed to see her name. I needed to know. And then I saw it. Samantha. A coworker. I had met her. I had shaken her hand at a company party. She had smiled at me and told me how lucky I was to have Mark. She had looked me in the eye and said it like she meant it. "Oh my God," I whispered. My stomach twisted. I felt like I was going to throw up. "Samantha." I looked at Mark, waiting for him to deny it, to say something, anything. He said nothing. His silence was my answer. And then someone moved in the back of the room. A woman. She had been standing by the gift table, off to the side. She had been watching the whole time. "Samantha." My ears started ringing. "You've got to be kidding me," I breathed. "You actually brought her here?" She didn't say anything. She just grabbed her coat and ran. And the worst part? Mark followed her. Not me. Not his pregnant wife. Not the mother of his first child. Her. The room was spinning. I sat down before I collapsed. I could hear voices, but they all sounded far away. Someone put a hand on my shoulder. I think it was my sister. People were whispering, staring, but I barely noticed. Because my whole life had just fallen apart. I don't remember much after that. It was like my brain shut down, like I had been hit by a truck and my body was just moving on autopilot. I heard voices, my mother's panicked whispers, my father's deep, furious voice, my sister sobbing. Someone tried to put a glass of water in my hand, but my fingers were too numb to hold it. Mark had followed her. Not me. Not his wife. Not the woman carrying his son. The humiliation burned through me like acid. People started leaving. Nobody knew what to say. The air was thick with awkwardness, with pity. My mother was whispering, "This is unbelievable," over and over. My dad kept pacing, clenching and unclenching his fists. Then the front door swung open. And Mark walked back in. Alone. His face was red, his hair was a mess like he had run his hands through it 1,000 times. His tie was loose, and there was a desperate look in his eyes. "Rachel," he said, stepping toward me. "Please. We need to talk." I felt my sister tense beside me. My dad stopped pacing and turned to face him, his hands balled into fists. "Are you insane?" My father's voice was sharp, low, controlled in a way that was somehow even scarier than if he had been yelling. "You just humiliated my daughter in front of everyone. You walked out on her for the woman you're cheating on her with. And now you think you can come back and talk?" Mark swallowed. I just needed to make sure she left. That she wouldn't what? My sister snapped. "Cause a scene?" Too late. I finally found my voice. It was quiet, but dangerous. "How long, Mark?" He flinched. "How long have you been screwing her?" I asked again, standing up. My legs were weak, but my rage was stronger. He opened his mouth, then closed it. Then, finally, 8 months. I laughed. It was bitter and ugly. 8 months. I was 7 months pregnant. It hit me all at once. He had been with her before I even knew I was pregnant. Before I had surprised him with the ultrasound picture. Before we had picked out baby names. Before he had kissed my stomach and told me he couldn't wait to be a dad. It had all been a lie. I shook my head. Was it ever going to stop? He didn't answer. That was answer enough. My dad took a step forward, his whole body tense. "Get out," he said. "Now." Mark ignored him. He turned to me, pleading. "Rachel, I screwed up, but I love you. I love our baby. I don't want to lose you." I stared at him, at the man I had trusted with my life, and felt nothing. "You already lost me," I said. He opened his mouth again, but before he could say another word, his phone buzzed. Again. The entire room went still. He froze. I looked down. His phone was still on the table. The screen lit up. "Samantha." I grabbed the phone before he could. My hands were steady now. I swiped it open, ignoring his protests, and read the message. "What did you tell her? Are you coming home?" Home. My stomach turned. I looked at him, my heart pounding. "You live with her?" He didn't answer right away. His silence was loud. "Mark," I said, my voice dangerously calm. "Do you live with her?" A muscle in his jaw twitched. It's not like that. I was staying there for a little while, just until I threw the phone at him. It hit his chest and bounced onto the floor. "Get out," I said. "Rachel, please, get out." My father moved so fast that I barely saw it happen. He grabbed Mark by the collar and dragged him toward the door. Mark stumbled, trying to resist. "Wait, let me talk to her. Let me." The front door slammed shut. Silence. My whole body sagged. My sister rushed forward, guiding me back to the couch. My mother was crying softly, wiping her eyes with a tissue. And I just sat there. I felt empty. But it wasn't over. Because 2 days later, Samantha showed up at my house. I hadn't left my parents' house since the baby shower. Everything felt numb. The days blurred together. My mom kept trying to get me to eat. My sister kept whispering to my dad when they thought I wasn't listening, and my phone wouldn't stop buzzing with messages from people who had been at the party. But I ignored them all. Then, 2 days later, there was a knock at the door. I thought it was going to be Mark. I thought maybe he had come back for one last pathetic attempt to apologize. My dad had already warned me that if Mark showed his face again, he wouldn't be leaving on his own 2 feet. But it wasn't Mark. It was Samantha. She was standing there on my parents' front porch, looking like she had been crying. Her blonde hair was messy, her makeup smudged, and she was wearing Mark's sweatshirt. I felt sick. My sister appeared behind me before I could say anything. "Are you serious?" Hannah snapped. "What the hell are you doing here?" Samantha wrung her hands, looking between us. I need to talk to Rachel. Please." "Not happening," Hannah shot back. "You need to get off our porch before my dad sees you." Samantha stepped forward, like she was trying to force her way in. I held up a hand, stopping my sister before she lunged at her. "Why are you here?" I asked, my voice cold. She let out a shaky breath. "Because you don't know the whole story." I laughed. "Oh, please, enlighten me." She looked nervous. "Mark told me he was leaving you. He told me that you were in a loveless marriage, that you were only together because of the baby. He said he didn't love you anymore, that he was just waiting for the right time to tell you." I stared at her, trying to process what she was saying. Then, she pulled something out of her purse. A folded-up piece of paper. She held it out to me. I took it, opened it, and felt like I had been punched in the gut. It was a rental lease agreement, with Mark's name on it. The start date? 3 months ago. The address? Her apartment. I looked up at her. My voice was hollow. "So he was living with you this whole time?" Samantha bit her lip. "He told me you knew." That you were okay with it. That you didn't care as long as he still helped with the baby financially. I felt rage crawl up my spine. That bastard. Why are you telling me this now? I asked. Why not before? She swallowed hard. Because I just found out something else. I narrowed my eyes. What? She hesitated. Then she whispered, I don't think I'm the only other woman. For a moment, all I heard was the pounding of my own heartbeat. Then Hannah exploded. Are you kidding me? She threw her hands in the air. You're standing here, telling my pregnant sister that the man you helped cheat on her might be cheating on you too? Samantha's eyes filled with fresh tears. I'm not trying to hurt her. You just what? Hannah snapped. You feel bad now that it's happening to you? I closed my eyes, my head spinning. Another woman? Another affair? I wanted to say it was impossible, but how could I? How could I believe anything anymore? I opened my eyes, staring at Samantha. Who? She shook her head. I don't know for sure, but he's been disappearing at night. He says he's working late, but his job isn't even open that late. And she hesitated. I found a hotel key in his jacket. My hands clenched into fists. Hannah was still fuming. So what do you want from Rachel? Forgiveness? Sympathy? You don't get to play the victim here, Samantha. You helped ruin her marriage. Samantha flinched but didn't argue. I know I was stupid. I thought I was different. I thought he really loved me. Welcome to the club, I said bitterly. She wiped at her eyes. I just thought you should know. Then she turned and walked away. I should have felt satisfaction. I should have felt vindicated, knowing that Mark was getting exactly what he deserved. But all I felt was exhausted. Because this wasn't over yet. I sat on the couch for a long time after Samantha left. My hands rested on my belly, my son kicking gently inside me, as if reminding me that he was the only thing that mattered now. But my mind was spinning. Mark was cheating on Samantha too. And if she was telling the truth, he had been living with her for months while coming home to me every now and then, playing the role of the perfect husband. I should have felt satisfied that she was finally facing the same betrayal she had helped inflict on me. But I didn't. All I felt was tired. My sister was pacing furiously. You cannot let this go, Rachel. You cannot just sit here and let him keep getting away with this. I looked at her. What do you want me to do? Call him and scream at him? He won't care. He'll just lie again. Then don't call, she said, her eyes burning with determination. Confront him in person. I frowned. Hannah, I don't know, but she was already grabbing her car keys. Let's go. I wasn't sure what I expected to find when we got to Samantha's apartment. I half expected Mark to already be gone, like a rat scurrying away before the light hits it. But he wasn't. He was there. And he wasn't alone. The second we walked up to the door, we heard voices, a woman's laugh, light and flirtatious. Then his voice, low and smooth, the same voice that had once whispered, I love you, Rachel, as he kissed my forehead at night. Hannah looked at me. You ready for this? I wasn't. But I nodded anyway. She banged on the door. The voices stopped. Then, after a moment, the door swung open. Mark stood there, holding a beer, his face going from relaxed to panicked the second he saw me. Rachel. Then, before he could finish, the woman behind him appeared. A third woman. She was tall, dark-haired, and wearing nothing but a tank top and underwear. She froze when she saw me, her eyes flicking between me, Hannah, and Mark. And then? She laughed. Wow, she said, crossing her arms. Guess I'm not the only one. Something inside me snapped. I stepped forward, my voice shaking but furious. How many, Mark? How many women were there? Or do you even know? Mark ran a hand over his face, looking more annoyed than anything. Rachel, I really don't think we should be doing this here. Oh, no. Hannah cut in, her voice pure rage. You don't get to decide that anymore. The dark-haired woman smirked. So this is your wife? She looked at me up and down. You're pregnant? Damn. I turned back to Mark. You told Samantha you were leaving me. You told me she was a mistake. And now this? I gestured at the woman. What's the lie you told her? The woman rolled her eyes. Please. He told me you guys were separated. She looked at Mark, tilting her head. So, that was bullshit? Mark sighed. Look, let's not turn this into a big thing, all right? A big thing. My marriage, my entire life, had been ripped apart, and to him, it was just a minor inconvenience. I should have cried. I should have screamed. But instead, I laughed. A cold, bitter, broken laugh that made Mark shift uncomfortably. You know what? I said, shaking my head. You're pathetic. He stiffened. Rachel, no, I snapped. I am done. I don't care what you do anymore. I don't care who you screw or what lies you tell. You're just a coward who can't stop destroying every good thing in his life. The dark-haired woman scoffed. Yeah, I'm gonna go. She grabbed her purse and brushed past him. Good luck with that one, she muttered to me before walking out the door. Then, to my complete and utter shock, Mark laughed. Well, he said, crossing his arms. Guess that makes things easier. I blinked. What? He shrugged. You keep acting like I'm this big villain, Rachel. But we both know the truth. Our marriage wasn't working. I was just the only one who had the guts to walk away. Something inside me boiled. You didn't walk away, I hissed. You cheated. You lied. You gaslit me while I was pregnant with your son. His expression darkened. Yeah? And what are you gonna do about it? I smiled. Divorce you, I said simply. Take you for everything. And make sure our son never grows up thinking his father is someone to be proud of. That wiped the smug look off his face. You wouldn't do that, he said. Watch me. Then I turned around and walked away. And this time? He didn't follow me. The divorce was ugly. Mark tried to play nice at first, saying we could split everything evenly, that he wanted to be there for our son. But the second he realized I wasn't playing his game, he turned nasty. He tried to fight for custody. He told the court I was unstable. He lied about money, about assets, about everything. But he forgot one thing. He had burned too many bridges. Samantha testified against him. So did his own mother. So did the other women who came forward when they found out what kind of man he really was. By the time it was over, Mark was left with nothing. No house, no money, just visitation rights every other weekend, visits that my son, Noah, would grow up never wanting to go to. And me? I walked away free. I won. But it wasn't about winning. It was about surviving. And I did. I moved back to Austin. I built a life for myself and Noah. And for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe again. Mark tried to make a comeback. He got engaged again 2 years later. She left him after 3 months. I don't feel sorry for him. I don't feel anything for him anymore. And that's the real victory.